All right, let's do the official intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special episode 17 of Wood, Air, and Metal. We have the maestro himself, Jim Marron, the head of the guitar department at University of Akron in classical guitar. So I got one of my guys now with 2-on-1 against Tim and the improvisational nature of his jazz. So let's see if you can hold out with this spectacular interview. So
wow, here we go.
Here we are. So Adam Keeler, Jim Marron, and Tim Mirth today. So let's start with the quintessential question. How did you get started playing guitar?
Well, let's see. With me, I grew up in a guitar playing family. My father is a pedal steel guitar player my whole childhood. Played in country western bands. And he also played guitar. We had guitars lying around. My brothers played guitars. And so I pretty much started playing. I got my first acoustic guitar when I was so small. I was in the front yard playing with Tonka trucks, And one of my older brothers crossed the yard with a guitar in his hand and said, "Here, play with this."
Nice.
And I still have that guitar.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
Right.
Very nice. Very nice. And when you say brothers, you have a pretty large family. You even beat out my wife's family. How many siblings do you have?
I have 7 siblings. Yeah, 4 brothers and 3 sisters.
And where were you in the pecking order?
I'm the 7th.
Oh,
the 7th son.
They saved the best for last. Right.
Right.
Excellent. And how long have you been playing?
I've been playing for over 40 years.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God. 47
Still hitting those numbers.
I know.
So,
you think I'd be like really great right now, but
I think you're pretty good. So it works out well. How many CDs do you have out now?
CDs, 3. Officially, I have 3, but I have some other projects that I've recorded in the past that never really professionally released those. But I have 3 like good quality professional CDs out.
And first one is 6 Poems for the Angels.
No, actually, that's the second one. The first one was Spring Rising.
Okay.
Spring Rising, and then 6 Poems for the Angels. Then a couple years ago, I put out actually kind of an alt country album.
Yeah.
With my band Layer Cake. Yeah.
Right. Nice.
Now, is that available through any of the streaming services or anything like that, or is that just CD?
That's on what do they call that? I can't remember what you
like CD Baby or something.
Yeah, it's like those, but it's not CD Baby. It's
just
the one you can listen to it anytime.
Bandcamp?
Why? Yes, that's it. Bandcamp.
Okay,
Bandcamp. Check out Layer Cake on Bandcamp for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely good. And Jim's solo work as well. Is that available just on Bandcamp or is everything?
Yeah, and also really you can check. I have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
YouTube James Marron, I believe. I forget what the address is, but I'm easy to find on the internet. But I have like 80 videos. It's surprising, like mostly live concerts.
Oh, awesome.
So all different things, and even a number of Layer Cake songs. I'll make these kind of cool videos that I just throw together using my iPhone and iMovies. It's kind of a project over the Corona thing. Project just to work on my computer and make videos. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. Oh, I haven't even checked those out. I'll have to get on it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the YouTube channel existed, so it's time to get down that rabbit hole.
See, we got some learning. So
that's right.
You were saying that. So as a kid, there was guitars all over the house, pedal steel. Yeah. Would you have like jam sessions? Did your parents bring people over? It was just music all the time, like
all the time. In fact, we have the summer jam every year for the past 50 some. I don't know how many years really, but all these people just would descend upon my parents' house every summer. It's usually the last Saturday in June, and there'd be a lot of bands playing all day long. I grew up way out in the country, so very rural.
Right.
And we always, in the summer, we always played music out on the front porch. And
sure.
the original Porch Rokr. But we still do that. We still do it like it's I'll be going home the next month, June 19th, and we do that, and then a winter jam in the middle of February when it's cold and stuff, and everyone comes out, and we usually go somewhere inside for the winter jam. Yeah, so we always jammed.
That's cool. So how do you think? So did you already know like pretty early on that you wanted to do music? Like when did you go from just always having it around you to getting to the point where you kind of like got obsessed with music? Was it pretty instant, or did it take some time? Were you a teenager, or what happened? What's the timeline?
It was pretty instant. I was totally into guitar. I loved it.
Yeah.
I got my first electric guitar when I was 10 years old. I don't have that anymore, but but I've had many guitars since then. I was originally going to be, I was going to be a rock star, and I fell in love with it. And then one time I was with one of my brothers, and we were at this big sale somewhere, where they have all different things for sale, and he bought a classical guitar. He walked out of this crowd. He goes, "Look what I got!" It wasn't in a case or anything, just a classical guitar. And I literally thought it was a toy. I thought it was a toy. It looked, it's like
plastic
short,
strings and everything.
Fat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, plastic strings. I'm going, what in the world? Why would you want that? He goes, "It's a classical guitar," and he showed himself how to play this bunch of classical stuff, and I totally fell in love with it. As much as I love jamming, there's something about just being alone and just playing all the parts by myself and exploring music on my own. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, sorry, you might have heard my kids are going, "Good night."
Good night, Jim Bob.
That's cool. It's funny. I know too. Like, I mean, not that I play much classical these days, but it was one of the ones I remember distinctly being like pretty instantly in love with classical guitar. Pretty much the first time I remember really hearing it. As like I started when I was 10 or so playing. Okay. So I think like 12 or something. I saw something, and I was like, I always thought I wanted. I had this. I always loved it. I wonder if that's a normal experience or not for guitar players. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I don't know. Other instruments don't know much about classical guitar, I think, sometimes.
Right.
And so maybe it's a very guitaristic sort of experience.
And even like, what is classical guitar?
Yeah, right.
It's really it's an instrument. It's an instrument, but it's not a genre of music so much as because it covered like hundreds of years of music.
Right.
Like I played music from the Renaissance, from 1500s to very modern. Kind of very modern music is kind of my specialty.
Yeah. Well, you write, and that segues right into my next question, because you started composing for your guitar. Obviously, you did that with most of your original works, and for Samus, that piece that I did learn a good chunk of, but I haven't finished completely. But yeah, it was a great tune. So when did you get started composing for the classical? And to kind of piggyback on that question, were your first compositions based off of stuff like writing it by ear, or did you immediately take to the pencil and page and start going right into sheet music type of thing?
Right. Well, when I was really young, when I first learned how to play guitar, we were just kind of jamming. We seldom played like other people's music. We just made up our own rock songs and stuff. So, I think guitar players just kind of generally just write their own music anyways.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until let's see, I guess I was in college. Yeah, I went to Manhattan School of Music, and I pretty much just started, giving concerts. Right away. Like I gave 5 undergraduate recitals, full recitals. I gave a sophomore recital, and that was my first. The bug, I just loved it. I thought, wow, this is really cool. You're in a cool space that sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
and so it really brought the best out of me. And so the next year, I wrote a concert for myself to play with myself and friends. And so I wrote all the music and gave a formal classical guitar recital. And then I did the same thing my senior year. So probably freshman, sophomore year in college, I started composing music, mostly just to get my friends together and play music together. I would give these cool names like 528,000 pillowcases, or Things from the House, or whatever. I'd have these themes and stuff, and I'd just write music for my friends.
So when you approach music in your writing, like what do you build a scene in your head first and then and start composing around that theme, or is it something where you're playing and oh, that's a cool idea, and then you kind of like run down that route?
It's usually that. It's usually some improvisation. I'll improvise and then have manuscript paper with me. I'm kind of old school. I like manuscript paper. I like to scratch it into the paper. But I'll just come up with a cool idea. It could just be a few notes. It could just be like 3 or 4 notes, and then I'll write that down, and then that's where I start playing games, and I go between retrograde inversion, playing transposing. I'll turn it into a matrix. I'll do all kinds of stuff, manipulations.
Right. The magic's in the editing.
Yeah. I mean, there you can, like, with the pencil and paper, you could literally, like, you can come up with an idea and then, gee, what does it sound like backwards?
Right.
And you can just turn it around, upside down. You can play all kinds of games with it, and then just out of just a few notes. So that's how I usually do it.
Are you working on anything now new? Like, are you composing any new pieces?
I've returned. Often I have a couple pieces that I've been working on, and I'll return with them here and there. I came back to a song that I wrote quite a while ago called Coats.
I remember that tune.
Yeah.
It's a great tune.
Coats. Yeah. It's I was reading this newspaper article, and it was talking about this guy who would wear all these coats around town. I go, I know that guy. I've seen him around, and but as I read the article, I realized that he was talking about a completely different person from the 40s, from a long time ago. But I immediately couldn't help but just think about this person who I've seen all over Akron. Could be the hottest day of the year. He's wearing like layers and layers of clothing, layers of coats, hat, scarf. I see him down East Market Street, West Market Street, all over the place. But so and the newspaper article, they're saying how, we all know this guy. Everyone knew him, but no one knew him. No one knew his name and stuff. So that was an inspiration to write a song, put it into a song. So that's something I've returned to, and I've been working on that. I have my manuscript right here. Now I'm using the fancy stuff, Sibelius.
You can actually read it now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can read it. Yeah, and it's so easy to edit and stuff. It's wonderful.
It's still not as satisfying though, right? As paper, like when you're writing with a pen. I don't know why.
Actually, paper and pencil, I'm really fast with that too.
Yeah, same,
and you can be like broad swaths of ideas.
Sure.
You can really play games with it. Whereas like in the computers mostly, to me, it's like, the end thing. It's something I do after I wrote it.
Right.
Just to solidify it, just to like finish it off.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I got it. Anytime that I'm writing, it's guitar in hand, manuscript paper. And then once I get it, kind of give it enough form where it's like, all right, that's pretty solid. Then I'll enter it all into the computer and start doing stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You have quite the setup there, Adam. You are like, look at all this.
It's a bit of a mess right now.
It's got garbage and some other garbage.
Yeah. This is garbage. This is all my nail stuff. It's all from
right.
It is. There's my ping pong ball. That's crazy glue for that. Acrylic for the thumb. It's all.
Jim, are are you a ping ponger or you use
I am
naturals? Yeah.
No, I'm a ping pong ball person. All but my index finger. One thing, I just don't really need one on that one, but also it just comes off all the time. I don't really have like long nails like some
Yeah.
people, but I do like the ping pong balls. It shapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. With that, you do a little different thing with your ping pong ball nails than I do, because like I don't want to say traditionally, but generally speaking, you want the nail to be, you want the ping pong to be longer than the natural nail. But
Right.
in your case, you use it underneath to support your natural nail.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, your sound is phenomenal. So it's like one of those things where I've wanted to take that plunge into, but at the same time, I don't want to screw up my nails. So
yeah, I have pretty much always done it like that. I didn't know too many people who were doing things, so I was kind of figuring it out on my own, you know. So, yeah, I like to so I really do play off the actual nail when I can. But so once I glue the ping pong ball on and then file underneath until I get to the actual nail. So the ping pong ball just supports it. Yeah, support. Yeah.
Gives it a nice rounded edge, and everything else that like 1% of the population is born with, and the rest of us have to struggle and scream at our fingers. So
Right. I know.
At least me, it's a tone obsession type of thing. So when was your first album released?
That's a good question. Probably I think I want to say 1998.
Okay.
Maybe. Is that?
And then
They're pretty spaced out. Yeah.
Was the Spring Rising, does that have your Winter Suite on it, if I'm remembering the title of that right?
Yes, it is actually. Yeah. So there's a bunch of my own. You know, the Spring Rising is the title track.
Mm-hmm.
And then For Seamus is on there.
Yep.
And then the Winter Scenes. I've been playing Winter Scenes again lately. I play, it's in 5 movements.
Yeah.
I play the 5th movement quite often. I'm playing. I have a concert. Concerts are opening up again,
my
so
gosh.
I have a concert in just a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Where's that at?
At the North Side Green. Have you heard? It's a new outdoor venue. It's outside of Luigi's and
Okay. Nice.
Julie's Music Room.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's actually it is really cool. The Downtown Akron Partnership organized it, and Earthquaker Devices built this portable amplifier, this PA speaker with battery operated that it's called a busking station. So yeah, you can plug into this thing. They have it set up for you, and they even give you like 4 Earthquaker Devices pedals.
Nice. That's
you can
awesome.
play with.
Yeah, if anyone
Yeah.
didn't know who watches it, so we have people that watch kind of all over the world, really, on this sometimes. So, Earthquaker Devices is in Akron, so we all know like some people that work there and stuff.
Sure.
And we're all in the area, so
Yeah, I
and
take
they're
my
a great
students
great
on,
local supporter, like that kind of stuff.
Oh,
You see them doing
they're
all kinds of
fantastic.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I take my students on field trips there.
nice.
They give us a little tour of their place.
Yeah, super
a
nice
great
people there.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah, fantastic.
and great pedals.
Well, that should be interesting. In fact, because it has effect like my programming. Like, what am I going to play? So I think, well, if I got these pedals, which I don't really use pedals on classical guitar, but I think I just might. I think I'll try some different things out. Just for the fun of it.
Jim, one thing I've always liked about you is you never know, like one of your shows, what's gonna happen. Like
That's true.
there's always some ringer. There might be somebody dancing, or I think
Right.
wasn't there somebody like on your head or something one time? Or
Right.
something?
Yeah.
I think it's like you never really know what you're gonna
Right.
get, but it's always amazing. It's awesome. Like the playing's great, the
Okay.
music's great, the whole. It's like it feels like you've really accepted or really want to you want to be an artist. You're an artist first, maybe
Right.
before a musician.
That's exactly the thing. That's my, be involved with your community. Be an artist. Just make something.
Right.
For you're right. So for 10 years, I had a modern dance company.
Yeah, the Marin Prather thing.
Yeah, Aaron Prater Dance and Music Company. Yeah, and so we performed all over the place, and that was really exciting. And
Yeah.
it was something,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
great. It's
yeah,
really like high quality. I mean, it's
Oh
an
yeah,
awesome
yeah.
experience. Yeah.
it was amazing to work with, you know, all these dancers and like have a, you know, not just a concert, but like, you know, a light show. You know, working on
Right.
lighting designers, I had costume designers, and you know, I'd perform a piece, you know, with the, you know, curtains open. You perform a piece, you know, finish it. It's a blackout. Walk off stage, hand this guitar off to someone, put on a different outfit, and then go back out and do a completely different piece. Um, it was really exciting. I still work with dance. I work with many dance companies all over Cleveland. Groundworks Dance Theater, uh, my own company, the Cleveland Repertory Project, uh, Cleveland Ballet, Dancing Wheels, all kinds of different. Um, I also like to work with theater. Adam worked with me on the theater project. We did a retelling of the Don Quixote
Oh,
story
nice.
with the New World Performance Laboratory.
Mhm.
That was really cool. I got a chance to arrange and write all the music for this thing and perform it live. You know?
Mhm.
And then Adam performed what 10 performances with it.
Like 7, I think.
Seven. Yeah.
Some are in there, you know, not counting the rehearsals and everything else. So that was like, I'm sitting there with Jim's music and Jim's there, like the first time I show up, and it's like, it's always intimidating playing somebody else's music, let alone having the guy sitting right next to you.
Right next.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, as much as we're like quasi colleagues, it's like I still took lessons from you, so you're on this path for me.
Were you over there like this?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Oh,
Yeah,
you know, raise my hand. Right,
That was an F,
So
Adam,
that means-
not an F sharp.
Yeah.
right. Tune your guitar. Yeah, right.
So I remember, like, we're sitting there getting ready for that, and the show was great. And I did like the first sit-in where I was kind of like playing along with Jim with it, you know, getting direct input, and you know, eventually getting my feet wet with it, and then switched out. And Jim did the smart thing. He showed up to review my playing, maybe not formally review, but he came to a show, but he didn't tell me he was going to be here.
Right.
You know, which
Yeah,
is
I
like,
showed
that
up.
was a smart move. You get it. Just kind of like, oh, there's Jim. And I think they did
Yeah.
tell me that. They told me like, you know, there isn't like a halfway point in the show. No, they told me afterwards. They're like, oh, by the way, Jim's there. I'm like, oh, well, it's a good thing you didn't tell me ahead of time, because
I know.
the nerves would have gone up a little bit more. You know? So
Why don't these hands work?
natural vibrato. Is,
Well, you know, the thing was like you picked it right up. You know, putting that whole thing together, and that's quite a feat. You know, because it's a whole score of pages of music. You know, and you got to go back and forth to different things, and you really have to listen to pay attention to what's going on, because you have to be right there, and you are all the sound, and it's unamplified, just acoustic guitar.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, like, my mom actually came and saw that show when she was in town, and she liked it because I did a stint with the Ohio Light Opera, and that show was fine. It was great and everything like that, sitting in the pit. But for this one, she was like, this was like, it was so cool because it was a very intimate soundtrack and stage and everything. Because, you know, you're unplugged, and there was maybe I think that place could hold like 40 people in there at that time.
Yeah,
It wasn't like a
yeah.
huge venue. But I loved working with those guys. I mean, it's great to be around other serious artists and different art forms,
Right.
because you just kind of
Right.
feed off of that energy. You know, like everybody's like
Yeah.
coming in, bringing their A game, and taking it really serious, and it's great.
That's totally it. I mean, there's nothing like working with other artists and
Mhm.
people who are just dedicated, and they were totally dedicated.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely. I actually gave some additional coaching to Hydro about 2 months ago for his solo show that he just did.
Oh yeah, I saw that show.
Oh
It
yeah.
was really great. Yeah, yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, he's like he reached out and he's like, "Hey, can you give me some pointers with the guitar and these songs?" I'm like, "Sure, let's do it." So
Oh, cool. I did not know that. Yeah, yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
yeah. So,
You mentioned
yeah,
something.
I do like, you know-
Good.
go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, like, you know, you're speaking about, you know, different kinds of music, you know, and like, you know, so it could be, I'm kind of a hired gun, you know, like, you know, like I have some, it might be a dinner party where where I'm playing like some light jazz, you know, but popular standards, and mixed with light classical music. And then you have, concert repertoire,
Hmm.
which might be really modern or something very odd, something different. And then, or playing with my band Layer Cake, where, just sometimes I just want to sing a song,
Sure.
So I just want to play my electric guitar and rock out.
There's really nothing like it.
Yeah,
Oh, there's not. There's a reason why Marshall stacks still sell. It's pretty freaking cool to just crank it up and go.
right.
There it is.
I know.
Yep.
Well, I got, I still have my dad's old Fender Twin Reverb.
Oh wow,
From
nice.
1974.
Nice.
74
Very
Twin
cool.
Reverb. And I have a whole band set up in my basement. Drums, PA system, a whole bass, guitar thing for if I have a bassist come over. So that'll always be a part of my life. I grew up, with, the boys we jammed in the basement. We had a music room. There was always a whole, you could play drums, you could play bass, you could play guitar. Well, that was about it,
Yeah.
So we have. We still got time. So let's do the quintessential question. I love this question. Your best gig and your worst gig.
Oh boy, let me think.
Or at least best gig and worst gig so far.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We can always get you a worse gig. Don't worry.
Yeah, right.
I mean, maybe this podcast was the worst gig.
Sometimes, there are memorable things. I remember back in 1987, a little while ago, I played for Andre Segovia's honorary doctorate degree in New York City.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there was he was getting a doctor's degree at the Manhattan School of Music, and a work was commissioned for the event, and started off with like a whole bunch of guitar players playing all these like 4 different parts, so there's a bunch of people on each part. And then as rehearsals would go, there'd just be fewer. I'm looking around, there's like people are like dropping, and then it just came down to me and 3 other people playing, and Andre Segovia stood right next to us while we performed this quartet. With TV camera, PBS is there, and
Nice.
stuff. So that was pretty memorable.
That is neat. So was he actually getting his PhD, or was it like an honorary thing?
No, it was just an honorary.
Yeah,
he was
that's cool
years
though.
old.
Yeah, that's real cool.
Yeah.
Dang.
So what did he tell you was wrong with your technique? No.
Yeah, right. It's funny because it was a really modern piece, and he is not a modern
Sure.
No.
performer. He never played. There are numerous pieces written for him that he never performed. So I don't know. He was very nice, which is, first, what's he gonna say,
Right.
But it wasn't a master class,
Yeah.
But it wasn't along his line, but that was really cool. Two things like worst. I've never really had a bad experience, one time, my junior recital, I remember now, I wore a suit, which, I'm not a suit person. I don't really wear suits very much, I don't dress up very often. I'm a t-shirt and jeans. But here I'm wearing I thought I'd wear a suit and tie and everything. And my, numerous times throughout the recital, my buttons and the coat sleeve got entangled in the strings. And I pulled my arm away, and I get a large Bartok pit.
Nice.
Twang, like the loudest notes of the whole concert. Happened like 3 times during the concert. My friends were laughing and stuff. So that was, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what in the world was going on. I was nervous, and so that was kind of terrifying. Yeah.
So you never did? What about like no string breaks or anything on a concert, like a classical one?
No, that's never happened. Like I have had the nail issue right before going on. Like literally, I was just traveling around. I was playing a concert at Malone College, I think, and literally right before. Oh, actually, no, right, yeah, that same. I had a couple things. That same concert, I had a false string, like
It was
a
starting to
string that
break.
you just can't. It just doesn't tune.
Yeah.
You keep playing, and finally, it dawned on me that this is just a bad string. I just have to take the string off, which is not a thing to do on a classical guitar.
Nope.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, 17 years
never
later
tune.
when it finally tunes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, it was awful. That same concert, I had to put the new ping pong ball on, literally on stage. You know, right before I started playing, and so.
Was it a packed
Yeah,
house
that's
too?
about it. I had a pretty good crowd. You know, it's something interesting what Adam said earlier about intimacy, and I love those intimate concerts. I like people being kind of close.
Yeah.
You know, they can really hear every little thing, and I want to play. I want lots of dynamics. I want to play really quiet and then really loud, and so now I can't play that loud on the classical guitar, but I can try. You know,
Right.
but if it's intimate, I can play quiet too, and then that's what really pulls people in.
Yeah, for sure.
So I tell my students it's the lean-in effect. If you get quieter, that causes the audience to go like
Right.
lean in,
Yeah.
and then when you get a little bit louder, you push them back in the seat. You know,
Right.
The whole illusion of dynamics on classical guitar happens because we can always get quieter, but we can only get so loud. So we just keep getting the floor lower and lower, and that'll get people's attention.
Except for that earthquaker thing, right?
Yeah, with the earthquaker thing, you just hit a pedal, and the next thing you know, you're blowing everybody's face off. Type of
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, that would be cool. So, let's see. So we got 5 minutes, and then we have to. You can edit this little technical thing out, Tim. But
I can see that number. Yeah.
Okay, good. So with those 2 gigs there, obviously this last year has been absolutely crazy in terms of like what's going on with school, what's going on with because you're running the U of A department there, and what was that like? Like your journey through the academic cluster F of things happening with COVID, and you know,
can we back up a little, Adam?
Sure.
Maybe we might run out of time, but so you leave Manhattan School of Music. What kind of happens there, and then how do you transpire into it, and then maybe eventually get through that journey?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. So I graduated Manhattan School of Music in 1987, and so with an undergraduate degree in classical guitar performance. I wanted to go on and study, but I had lived in New York. I was done with New York. I loved it, you know, but I was like living in Manhattan. You know, I worked at the Metropolitan Museum of Arts. I worked at a guitar shop in Soho, and I knew the city. I was all over the place, but I was done with it after 4 years. I'm a country boy, lived in Harlem for 4 years, and I wanted to go somewhere else. So my teacher was Nicholas Galusis, who was a good friend of Stephen Aaron, who was the head of the guitar department at Akron. And so, you know, I talked to Nick, and he introduced me. He called up Steve Aaron. So we talked on the phone, and Steve had an assistantship available for the next year. So I flew out to Akron, auditioned, talked to Steve, and I moved to Akron. 87, 88.
Now you haven't been able to get away.
And I haven't been able to get away. But you know, I really like Akron. You know, like grew up, like I said, rural. Then I moved into New York City, and then Akron is a nice mix. You know, where I can be in beautiful parts in a minute, just minutes.
Sure.
And it's you know, it's a big enough city, and I always tell my students, you know, be the guitarist of your community. You know, just make something where you are. You know, there's always going to be great guitar players all over the world, but they're not here at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You are. So make something happen. So I came to Akron and immediately played a bunch of just free concerts wherever I could. I set up all these concerts in libraries, mostly libraries, community centers, and things like that, just get used to playing concerts. You want to be a concert guitarist, play concerts.
Yeah.
Even if they're free, and then so when an opportunity comes up for a real, show, you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, yeah. So then I started here at Akron, and by the time I graduated with my master's in guitar, I realized that I was almost done with a theory degree too. Somehow, I had taken all these theory classes, so I stayed another year and wrote a thesis on contemporary guitar works, and ended up with a double master.
Okay, so you're back in Akron. You've gotten your master's degree.
Right.
How did you get in as the other guitar teacher at U of A? Like under,
Right.
I don't use the term under, but like working with
Sure.
Steve. And then,
Right, sure. Yeah, Steve Aaron was head of the department, and there were actually 2 part-time faculty members. Oh no, 3. Well, including jazz. There had Dean Newton, Bob Frazier,
Yeah.
and there was also Mike Vahila was also teaching. So there was 3 jazz guitar teachers, and then in classical there was Kevin Foote
mm-hmm.
and Lou Petrick.
Oh wow!
Do you remember Lou Petrick?
So,
Paul Petrick, yeah. So there were 2 classical guitar teachers, and Steve called me and hired me to teach guitar pedagogy.
Ah, okay.
okay.
So I didn't even start teaching private lessons at first. It was specifically to teach guitar pedagogy. Yeah.
So when what were you thinking though at the time? So you had gone from Manhattan to Akron. Were you gearing up to try to do the concert guitarist route, or were you gearing up to be a teacher? Like, I know teaching's sort of the necessary thing that musicians have to do, right?
Right.
But was that your frame of mind then? I mean, you were probably pretty young. You probably had all kinds of confidence and all kinds of things. So you're probably what were you thinking at the time? Yeah.
Right. Plus, I was working out. I was looking good.
Yeah, that's
right. Well, yeah, I wanted to be a concert artist. I worked towards that, but along the way, I was going to teach, and if an opportunity came up to make money doing something other than flipping burgers, I was going to do it. If it had to do with music, So, yeah, I can. Actually, I think I was. I just graduated, and then so I got a job teaching at a Falls Music Center. That's it. So I had a few students there. So, and I was my idea was to do exactly what I'm doing now. To be honest, I do a little bit of everything. Arranging. I'll work with a dance company. I'll work with a theater company sometimes. Sometimes I work with my rock band. I'll play private dinner parties. When I can, I play concerts, which that's something that I really love. Just the intensity of the solo concert.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think I didn't really have a clear idea what I was going to do at that time.
For sure. Yeah.
But I was just doing whatever came along.
Nice.
Very cool. So with that, now that you're, in terms of your repertoire that you're playing now, you said that you're doing a lot more of the modern stuff. Is this all, like if you were going to do, Paul, let's just talk about the upcoming solo concert that you're going to do.
Sure.
Do you have an idea of your program and?
Yeah, I have a set list. I have it right in front of me.
There it is.
I've been working. I really think about the set list. I played my last concert was in October, the last fall. Right when the pandemic was hitting and stuff, and so I had a set program, and I've taken some of that with, and I've kind of altered it. I knew I was going to play my concert classical guitar, which does not plug in or anything. I have to use a microphone, and I played a good bit of my own music. But I opened with an arrangement of Stormy Weather for solo guitar and arranged by John Duart. I just wanted to just kind of pull people in with nothing too
Right.
abrasive. Yeah, it's just something, just kind of lure them in before I even say anything. Just start off, and because I knew it was a live stream concert,
Okay.
and it was being recorded and stuff. So I just wanted also as a sound check, you know.
Sure.
And it's just like a 2-minute arrangement of this piece, beautiful piece. And so I used that. That's a piece that I would normally play for a dinner party, you know,
Right.
something like that. And so I've been mixing that in with some of my.
Plus, I guess it probably breaks the nerves a little bit and all those kind of things, right? Kind of just gets you warmed up. You're on stage now, and
Yeah.
no real harm and little flubs or anything. You just kind of roll with it.
Sure. I like to play first, play something, play some short little piece, and then say, "Good evening," you know, "How you doing?" And then go from there. So now, let's see, I'm opening with my next concert. I'm going to open up with a couple preludes or dance pieces actually from South America by Pujol.
Okay.
Yeah, are you familiar with from the Cinco Preludios? I'll play two of his preludes. They're really cool pieces, you know.
They are. They're awesome.
Yeah. It's funny how those South American pieces, they all have really contrasting sections, you know, like the A section is really melodic and beautiful, and then the B section is like really fast and rhythmic, and then it goes back to this beautiful. It sounds like people always think I'm playing a different piece, but it's actually the same. So I'm going to play a couple of those, and then I'm going to play "Here Comes the Sun" by George Harrison. You know, and I have my own arrangement of it. I mean, I sing it, you know, but I'm playing a really cool guitar accompaniment. And then I'm going to play two pieces written for me by friends.
Cool.
You know, Scott Johnston. He's a trumpet player. He was a lead principal trumpet player for the Akron Symphony for like 30 years.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's
yeah. So he wrote a piece for me, and I was working on it. It was over the Corona, the pandemic. That's why it's hard to say it because I ended up calling it. First, he was sending it to me. It just goes for Jim, you know. But it's during this whole pandemic. I'm playing this piece and I'm going, wow, it sounds like the South American waltz, you know. So I called it Corona Valsa.
Hey, that works. Nice.
Yeah. So Corona Valsa. I'm going to play that by Scott Johnson, and then Strict Little Romance by Roger Zahab. It's a short piece of his. He's now, I believe, conductor of the Pittsburgh University of Pittsburgh Orchestra. Good friend of mine, and these are just two really cool short pieces. I pieced them together into a set. You know, we'll pretty much go right into the next, and then wrap it up with what am I playing? When Sunny Gets Blue.
Nice.
So that makes a little 3-movement set. You know, so I'm mixing, you know, things up a little bit. You know,
Yeah, sure.
then I sing "You've Got a Friend" by
James Taylor, right?
Yeah, right, James Marron. So a little bit of everything. I mean, it goes on and on. I don't want to, you know. Then I'll play a bunch of my own music. I'm trying to mix things up.
Now, is this like I don't want. Is it like a formal recital type of thing? Is it like are there tickets? Is it just kind of like an open field and people can come and listen because they know that there's going to be a concert? Or
Yes, it's pretty much just an open event. I think this is brand new, so they're just trying it out. You know, this is the
And
first
if you
time
fail, then no.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know, so see what happens. You know, I wonder, like, I don't even know if there's seating. If there are places for people to sit, you might need to bring a lawn chair. They're starting on Saturdays in a week or two, so I'll go to some of the other people first and get a feel for it. But that's where I really wanted to create a broad range of repertoire. You know, because for one thing, I just like playing all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun. It keeps it fresh, you know.
Yeah.
So if I can bring that to people, all the better.
Mm-hmm.
This last October when I played a concert that was the first time I ever played a concert where I had like multiple camera angles. There were 4 cameras,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, different stages, and then one of them was moving and stuff. You should check it out. Go to my YouTube channel sometime. I have like 13 videos
Oh,
that I
nice.
got from uh, from the AV club. Did the
Okay, yeah, sure. I know that.
yeah, you know
With
AV,
Phil
yeah, you
and
know
those guys,
Philip,
yeah.
yeah, Phil
Yeah.
Anderson and stuff. Yeah, they were fantastic. They did a great job. It looked awesome. I was so happy with that. Yeah. At the time, it was weird because there was 50 degrees outside. I'm outside and it's really cold, and my hands are getting cold. But I just said, "Wow, look at all these cameras and stuff," and
Yeah.
there was an audience and stuff, and they were being recorded. So I just gotta stay
Yeah.
on it. So I just did the best I could, you know,
Yeah.
and
That's
it
pretty
went
cool.
well, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, you know. But then I look at the video, and they, you know, AV Club made it look amazing. You know, they were so cool with looking at different. There was an artist working on a giant mural behind me, like on a crane. You
Oh,
know?
that's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
that was cool. I kind of got off track here, but yeah. So that was that concert, and then this is again, you know, it's just open to the public. So who knows what's going to be there? So if you don't like the song I'm playing now, wait 2 minutes. And, you know, something completely different next.
So I have to ask this because it's one of my favorite things that you've done outside of for Samus is your arrangement of "If My Complaints," where you
my,
the Dowland tune into the blues tune and then back into the Dowland, which is just it's just a wickedly cool idea. It fits lyrically, it fits thematically.
thank you.
It's
Thanks.
very, very cool. Are you going to be playing that on your concert?
Well, you know, that's a good question. It's in my stack. You know, like I have all my music out right here, and it is. With me, I'm very particular about my program. Like when I assemble a program, I know exactly what I'm going to play, the exact order, and I have it all prepared. So I can pull it out at any time. And that piece, this happens to be in there. I can't get it right now. But anyways, I'm thinking about it. So,
All right. Yeah, it's
It
really
might make
cool.
the cut.
well,
Yeah.
thanks. It's funny you bring that up. That you know, sometimes you work really hard on something and you wonder, like, do people like it? I don't know. It's like if it fits, because you know you get like these early music people who might just feel and insult what I've done to their John Dowland's beautiful
Perfect
Renaissance
thing. Yeah,
lute
right.
song. Yeah, yeah. But I had a lot of fun with that. So maybe I'll take some requests. You know?
There you go.
All right. They'll see this very pale guy in the audience being, "Hey, play some Dowland."
Mike, I got a complaint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the song is called the original lute song is called "If My Complaints Could Passions Move," and so I just call it "My Complaints."
That works.
Yeah, I remember seeing I don't know if it was the first time you played that, but I remember seeing you play that. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. You know, it's Renaissance-y and so on. And then it switched to the blues thing, and I'm like, all right, I totally dig it. Like, totally dig the switch. You know, it was great, and it flows super well because it's like the chordal structure fits into a 12-bar blues type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Seamlessly back into the thing, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, that's what I said. You know, because I'm playing the original song, and I've played lots of lute songs, like a lot of Dowland's. I can't tell you how many of them I've played. Accompanied numerous sopranos and tenors and different singers playing lute music. You know, I just tune my guitar to the lute and play like that. So, and I'm playing this, you know, this song, and I'm going like, wow, this is a blues tune, you know? So I just rewrote it.
Like full out too. That's the lyrics, right? So
Yeah, I kept the lyrics, you know, and then there's a big guitar solo and everything. And so
I'm certain I've heard that before. It sounds familiar to me.
yeah,
It's been a while.
I don't know. I think it may be on my YouTube channel somewhere. That and also this is something different. Like, it's funny, like, I'm going all over the place, but, working on this YouTube thing, my biggest hit, like what most hits, a couple of like thousand some people watch or something, is was a commission I received from downtown, like Akron art community. They wanted me to compose a setting of a children's book written by John Lithgow. You know him? He's the actor.
Sure.
Yeah. He wrote a children's book called Remarkable Farkle McBride, and it's about the story of a young boy, 3 years old, and he mastered the violin in no time. And he gets bored. He played the flute, got it perfect, got bored with that, and then trombone, percussion, all things, and he mastered them, but then just gets bored. And then one day the conductor of the school orchestra catches a cold, gets sick, and then they asked Farkle if he could conduct. And then so finally at the end of the story, he's content, he's happy because he can hear all the instruments together all at once. But that piece, there's just like one-off thing. Actually, I did a number of performances for children downtown. So I wrote it for violin, flute, trombone, and percussion, conductor, and then a narrator. So at one point, like, I sneeze, and then I hand the baton to the narrator. But I don't know what made me think of this, but again, it's just like another completely different thing, where I don't even play guitar on it. I just wrote it and I conducted it and created. You can read this children's book in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I turned it into like a 15 to 16 minute little thing, and all these kids showed up with a book, and they're following.
That's really cool. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I just derailed our conversation.
No,
That's okay.
no, not at all. That makes sense, because you were talking about your biggest hit on YouTube, and
Right.
your biggest hit with that.
Yeah. I get like I've had lots of people check that out.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had a great narrator. I mean, really, just like
The right voice and everything.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun.
With all the things you've done, what's still on the bucket list of things you'd like to try, or you not think of that way? Do you just kind of let things roll?
Yeah.
I definitely know you let things roll because it's kind of your personality. But are there still some big goals that you have that you'd like to tackle that haven't got to yet?
To be honest, no, not really. I'd love to say something magical, but
I want to write 17 symphonies. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I try to write things that is tangible to me, like that I can really. I'm not going to write a symphony because it's
Never
too
gets
much.
played.
It's like I can't get enough performances out of it. I'm very practical. I'm a very practical person. I won't. When I learn a piece of music, there's a reason for it, and I'm going to perform it. I'm going to play that piece. So if I write, whenever I've written music, anytime I've ever written music, it's always for a specific purpose, a specific time. And you think, well, that's what Beethoven did, Mozart, and everyone, they wrote to please their audience, to fulfill a commission. And that's pretty much what I do.
Right.
And cool things just kind of come up. And so it forces me to be creative within a certain boundary. But I think of all the different things that I've been able to do just by letting things roll, and it's been amazing. It's been so fun.
Sure.
I remember, like, one weekend I played a concert, like somewhere, I can't remember where, and then the next day I played Mahler's Seventh Symphony with the Cleveland Orchestra in Severance Hall, and then I played a performance with my band Layer Cake. All in one weekend.
It's a great weekend, yeah.
Completely different, all different repertoire. And then, sometimes I used to sit in with an Irish band on St. Patrick's Day, play all Irish music.
I mean, how cool is music? It's the coolest thing ever, right?
Yeah. Over this whole pandemic, would just read through music, just like chew it up, like they were just burning through. I got a couple of books. I got the Brazilian Masters.
Nice.
I've been playing all these Jobim, Bonfa, Baden Powell, and then and that's something I play for. Like I have a dinner party coming up in just about 2 weeks, and it's great for like just cocktail hour.
Yep.
Yeah, with
Plus,
classical
you
guitar,
get to
there's
try
a lot
stuff
of
out
pretty
too, right? Yeah. I mean, you get to try the dinner things are nice because you walk around and you're like, oh, let's just see how this piece lands. How does it feel?
Yeah, totally.
Do people respond to it? Yeah. It's kind of like
yeah.
a testing ground.
I really enjoy playing parties. Actually, I like playing these dinner parties, cocktail hour things.
Right.
Everyone's having a great time. They're happy to see you. They love you.
Yeah.
And I play all kinds of music that you guys, I'm sure, have never heard me play. Like if you've been to one of these things, like music like Misty or I can't even think about like.
Well, I've heard you play some of that. When we did that fundraising gig for the New World.
Oh, right, yeah, sure.
Like a trade-off thing.
Right, yeah.
You had your gig book, and I had my little my Surface, and just going through the tunes back and forth.
Yeah. You were playing like Bach fugues.
I know.
And
that's all Adam knows.
I don't get around much anymore,
That's all I had worked up at the time. It was a bunch of my concerts, my serious concert set. So I'm like, well, this will work for here. That's what they get. So,
I started playing gigs, 40 years ago. And I remember having all this like really pretty and like or serious music, and it was not cutting it. I was like sweating. I'm going like, I got to find some stuff. And so it took me years to develop this gigging stuff. And so over the years, I've played countless weddings, dinner parties, and stuff like that. And you just accumulate a bunch of music. And now that this pandemic is over, I'm like, I just started things are starting to happen again. So I pulled my book out, just started page 1, and just reading through things, so I can just.
Yeah, I'm curious. I know for me, I've been playing 30 years now. And most of those 30 years, I've been gigging a lot, right? And up until this pandemic, I mean, at least a gig a month or so, if not more. Right. And this is the first time, this last year has been so weird. I think I've done 3 or 4 like video streaming gig things at places in that time. But that it's like in a year, normally I would have at least 20, 30, 20 plus gigs, 30 gigs, if not 50 gigs. So what, I'm sure, and I know you're the same way. So was this your first break, like in the longest time? And how did you,
first break.
Did you, it sounds like you went through a bunch of tunes and stuff. Did you have any goals or anything? Like, you know what, I'm going to finally tackle this thing because I'm not trying to get gig repertoire together or anything like that.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, if you brought that up, because I got this Brazilian mastered book that I showed you. And then I also got another book of popular jazz standards arranged for classical guitar, So all the notes are written out. There's no improvisations, It's all written out, easy for me. I can just play it down, So I worked up like 4 tunes in each book, And then, but I wanted like a big, epic work to add to my concert program, which is not up yet, but I've worked on it pretty much all this time. It's a sonata by Leo Brouwer.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's the one he wrote for Julian Bream. It's just called Sonata.
Nice.
Okay.
But it's a big, like 20 pages of like serious music. It's a big piece. And I have it memorized. I learned it over this pandemic. And I want like one big major work to add to my program. And so I did it. Yeah, I learned that whole piece. It's all memorized. I don't think it's quite appropriate for this upcoming concert. It's kind of like a formal
Yeah, yeah.
It's the serious.
It's like Adam playing the fugues at the
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
the dinner
Yeah,
party.
you know.
They're like, why?
Yeah, that's very interesting, Jim. But I'll definitely play it probably in the fall. I'll probably give a faculty concert. Well, I will. I'll give a faculty concert in the fall, and I'll play it then.
Nice.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, you played my one composition piece that I wrote for guitar without touching a guitar. Like, that was my goal with it when I was taking lessons with who was it? Was it Razanovich at the time or Wilding? Those are my two composing teachers when I was at UVA. And I was like, all right, I'm going to write a piece, but I'm not going to play it. I want to do it in a kind of a disconnected way. Write it out. I mean, I'm still thinking about guitar, the guitar
Right.
player. But I was like, I got to find somebody to play it, and Jim was the man on that one. So that is, I actually
I remember working on it. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed working on it, and I love playing people like. I've premiered probably a couple dozen works over the years, and so there's an art to bringing someone else's music to life. Well, you being a guitarist, even though you didn't have the guitar in your hand, you still know how guitar works. And,
yeah, exactly.
Numerous times when working with other people, it did not work. You know?
Yep.
So, but that was great, you know, and like playing, you know, whenever I can, I'll play other people's music. You know, Nick wrote me an awesome big theme and variations.
Oh, wow.
Cool. Yeah. Roger, they have wrote a couple pieces for me, and so I remember working on that piece with you. Yeah.
It's fun. We were doing. I had things where it was like the name of the piece was "They Break Their Tools," and so during the course of the piece, you're down tuning the strings to slack. You know, so it ends with the main theme on just the first string, and that's it. So
yeah, I remember we played it in Gazetta Hall, Recital Hall.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you written any more things like that?
Yeah, actually, I got a bunch of stuff written out. It's
The next movement, you start tuning them back up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Good luck.
It's a little bit of a cheat if you got those Gibson robot tuner things on the end. You just press a button.
There you go.
Yeah.
But no, I've written. I've been doing the first thing is I have this a project of arranging some Philip Glass for solo guitar, which is actually starting to come together rather well. That's some of it is piano works and other stuff for other instruments. Just it started by just listening to it, and I'm like, I could hear this on guitar. And then the original was like, I'm going to do his studies, like his piano studies. And then I realized that was just not going to happen, like not for solo guitar. You'd need two, and there's too much voice crossing and stuff like that. The way that he writes.
What happened?
Sorry, hang on.
Yeah.
My son texted me. So anyway, so like I've been working on that, and the one of them's out already on my YouTube channel. Not that I'm trying to plug it here, but I did the Truman Sleeps. Like, it's one of the pieces from the Truman Show that Glass did all the soundtrack to, and it just it's one of those things where it's like, oh wait, here it is. You know, it sat so well on the guitar initially, and kind of like wrote itself, you know. And then me and Tim were talking about this in a previous podcast. I have another thing that I'm working on where I'm going to do one version of it that is note for note Philip Glass, and then the next version of it is going to be guitar orientated, like, you know, like it kind of, I'm probably putting on boots way too big for myself, but I figure why the hell not. Somebody's got to try.
You have to do it. You have to try.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to try it. It's the only way. Yeah.
Yep. So that's part of what I'm writing. I've done a bunch of original stuff for a game, actually, which I think it's coming out in another month or two.
Nice.
Either way, I got to hand in the final tracks for it shortly. In fact, that's what I've been working on this week. That is not classical guitar orientated in the sense of like just solo. One part is I did like a guitar and piccolo thing for like this checkpoint, like where you arrive in the town and everything's kind of calm and you're kind of exploring things. So it worked out really well. I just wanted something that was easily repeatable, like just like 2 minutes, and then I can play again, but it's still interesting. Type of thing. And that was kind of a project that kind of fell into my lap, and it's interesting to write for it because it's just you're not just thinking of a scene, you're thinking of like, how long is this scene going to last? When do I want to repeat it? You know, is this going to be a recurring thing? Like, if I run into enemy type X, does this theme keep coming in, or where do we call it like there's different layers to the music. So you'll have your original theme with it, and then there's like, okay, if you run into a bad guy, that's your combat layer, and then that'll kind of come in. So you'll compose all these things, and then you'll program it into the software of being like, okay, so this is if you're talking to this person, the theme will change to these instrumentations. Or if you run into combat, you're putting in percussion and a little bit of distortion on the guitar or whatever, you know, type of thing. So that's
a whole new medium for us. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I figured why not, and it's been a blast. It's been really cool. It's steep learning curve on the production aspect of it. Like the writing aspect didn't bother me at all, but sitting down and getting like all the MIDI stuff going and getting it to talk to other people's digital audio workstations and making sure that everything's synced up. So if I was like working with somebody else, it's like, okay, here's your stems. Okay, I'm pretty sure they're all lined up, you know, because otherwise you're not going to be able to. Everything's going to be out there. So that's like kind of been where I've been at with the writing front with that, and it's been fun. You know, I can't wait till I'm done because I have some other ideas floating around in my head where I can finally focus on it. You know, it's like the constant thing of like, all right, how many juggling things can I have going?
Right.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that. But this isn't an interview about me.
No, it's great. I ask a question. But you know, some pieces like, you know, I will be performing couple pieces of mine. One of them that's never really quite done. Like every time I play it, it's a little different, you know. And so that's why I play it, you know. So I work it up, get it to a certain thing, and I come up, and at some point I'll know it's done, you know, because you know, I write it out. It's all written out and stuff, but sometimes I jump from place to place, and I just can't really.
You know, some of my favorite composers are never done, right? I mean, I come from the jazz world a little bit too, but even in like more serious, or let's say like more strictly composed things, they just assume it's never done. Now it might be 10 years before they rearrange it, or maybe it gets rearranged every time they play it. But I think that's kind of neat. Like, does it have to ever be done? Like, it's kind of a neat thing. Like, oh, you could always change something and see how it works out.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know, it's a living.
Yeah. Then it's alive, right? Then it has something.
It's alive. Yeah. I mean, this piece, I originally wrote it for a dance. It's supposed to be a dance piece. It was never choreographed. It wasn't done in time, and I just never had it choreographed, you know. But so, and you know, when I listen to it, or sometimes when I'm playing it, it just seems like there's something missing. And it really, initially, I was, you know, the dance was the other element, you know. And I like to keep, when I write for dance, I would like to allow space for the dance to take over the lead and stuff. So I don't want to always be in their face and stuff. So I'm wondering, does it work fitting on its own? I don't know, you know. So I guess we'll find out. Another reiteration of it coming up, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do some interpretive dance while I play it.
You should. Yeah, there you go.
And use the pedals.
Yeah, I'll use. Well, yeah. Well, you know, that's the piece I'm going to try them out on. You know, I have no idea what the pedals are. I never use pedals, so I don't. You'll find. You know, I'll see what happens.
Don't step on the suck pedal. That's a bad one.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's the only pedals I have. So.
Yeah, right.
That's got to be my favorite Far Side comic that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The guy at the soundboard, and it's like Jimmy's last day as a sound guy or something like that, and it has a band up on the stage, and there's this big knob on the soundboard that says "suck," and it says Jimmy accidentally turns up the suck knob. You know, the band is great.
Yeah.
Single frame thing. Absolutely classic. So other than the concertizing thing, you're still at Akron, you're still teaching, you're keeping that program going, which is awesome. Teaching philosophy. Like what are your thoughts on like how to approach teaching an established student? Like you're getting a master's student in. So what type of thing how would you approach that as compared?
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, so that's kind of a big question, but like you said, graduate students. So a graduate student, I really do have, usually they come to me and they can already play. They're already pretty good. So mostly it's how to be a professional, how to make money, how to make a living. These are skills that I've learned over 40 years. And and I have been just an artist for all this time, and like, so that's my main thing with these graduate students. Sure, they can play, the Bach violin sonata, in G minor, but like, but who's going to hear it? How can you get people to hear you? Okay. Yeah. So that's probably my main thing there. Whereas like undergraduates are really different, because you get an incoming freshman, sophomore and things. And they have usually experience playing guitar. They have a lot of passion. They're not very disciplined. They don't know how to practice, how to go by leaps and bounds quickly, how to get to a new plateau. So mostly it's about discipline and time management for the young people.
Mm-hmm.
But I have decided like this coming year, I'm going to do some like my studio class different. Most people know you have your private lessons. That's when you're working on repertoire. My studio class over the past few years have been mostly like a master class situation. Yeah. So all the students are there, and I have one at a time. They'll play something for me, and I give them a lesson in front of everyone else, and everyone learns. And it's been great. But I think what I'm going to do coming up, I have 3 incoming freshmen this coming fall. So I'm going to be using studio class more of like a hands-on. We're all playing at the same time, and we're all playing. I'm going to walk them through like exercises, warm-up exercises, and also fretboard harmony. Just knowing the fretboard, knowing all your inversions, knowing all your scales, all your arpeggios, be able to play in any key up and down the fretboard. Just follow me.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more like a boot camp, fretboard harmony and technique class, once a week for an hour, alongside their private lessons, which is, completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. That's great.
That's a great idea. I've always wanted to do that type of thing, have like that. This is your daily drill time, type of environment. Like everybody log in or show up in person, whatever. And,
log in.
Yeah, log in, get it going. The metronome's clicking. This is our technique thing.
Yeah.
Blurs today. Boom, go.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, the private lesson time, like you said, it's like there's a different goal there, right? It's not
right.
It's probably not the place you should be doing all the fretboard harmony and stuff. It's sort of like a
right,
given.
Yeah.
Like that should be a given. Then you meet somebody, you're like, how did this person graduate? They don't know how to play an F sharp or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's something that's been interesting, even though like I'm not a jazz guitarist per se, whenever, something comes up, the guitar, like I would call Dean, Newton or Bob or something, and they, they're masters at that, so they would do that. But I have been lately exploring things where if I were to teach jazz, so how might I do that? So I've been doing those things, and I come up with like chord melodies, learning how to do chord melodies to nice easy songs like Satin Doll, Autumn Leaves, things like that. So that's something I'm going to be introducing a little bit more in my studio class, and that'll go into like the fretboard harmony and.
Right. I'm curious. I mean, we're running out of a minute here, but since classical guitar is pretty young, really,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always taking in new repertoire. Are things like that becoming more standard repertoire on the classical guitar front? Doing things like sort of prearranged chord melodies that are from the jazz world,
Sure.
for instance. That seems like I could see that happening on like real concerts too.
Yeah. I think, with classical guitar, it's coming down to more of a like personal, like persona, your own persona. So you come into town, you're going to play a concert, and you get to be known for it. Like with me, I got to be known for who knows what's going to happen. Maybe it's a dancer on top of me, but or maybe I'll sing a Beatles song. But David Russell, you're going to hear certain things, and so that's what it's almost like I like to think of like what do rock bands do? They put out an album. And they concertize it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Rock bands put out an album and they concertize behind it, and you pick up from
there. That's what we should do. That's what and that's what any artist does.
Sure.
They just if you're a painter, you paint a series of things. This is what you're doing right now. You're doing still lifes, or you're doing whatever. And then you go on to something else, and I'm a firm believer in that. So it just happens to be what I'm doing right now. Like I'm just happy to explore more jazz things and how it can be done on classical guitar and how it can weave that into my own world.
Yeah, sure.
And I think by having different, it's like a diversity. Within a program, just makes all the other things all the more beautiful.
I'm curious, particularly because you have played such a wide variety of stuff, and even lean towards some, the more modern, maybe more dissonant kind of things with your, a lot of the writing you do and whatnot. What's your impression of the audience for those? And I'm trying not to set you up, but I might be in that I'm trying not to sway your opinion, but I guess I'm curious. In my experience, it's not if you play with a certain kind of passion, a certain kind of way of presenting it, the notes and like the harmony and the dissonance and stuff becomes somewhat negligible. And the audience seems to get it. Like a lot of times we think, oh, we write this stuff and it's way too complicated or this or that. But to me, it's more about like that performance. Like how did you deliver it to the audience? And if you deliver it in a certain way, they seem to, they don't care because the spirit's there or something. Have you had that experience? Like,
I have that experience, and it's my philosophy. And my philosophy is like it's how you tell the story. And if it happens to be a very dissonant piece, if you shape a phrase, whether it's 12 tone or modal or whatever.
Or slacken your strings.
If you're tuning down while you do it convincingly. I use that word a lot, convincing. Sometimes you get like these Bach scholars, who like every certain note about this piece has to be a certain way. If it sings, it sings.
Yeah.
If it dances, it dances.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about the experience there.
Sure.
There's nothing worse than just a dry, boring performance.
Oh, no doubt. Plus, Bach was an improviser too, right? So.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's hard for me to imagine. I think a lot of the things he wrote were effectively improvisations that he wrote down.
Sure.
And the Bach scholars look at it like that was a sign of like that was perfection, or whatever. It's like he was just just tinkering.
Right. Yeah. So I think like when I play most of my dissonant material that I play like in concerts and in a concert setting. And when you go to a classical guitar concert, people are prepared for just about all different things, and it could be some very dissonant music.
Yeah.
So I've gotten I think people like it. I think it's,
right.
But they like it because it contrasts with something lyrical. maybe, that I just played.
Right.
A whole concert of all modern music is kind of tough sometimes to pull off. Maybe unless you're at a guitar festival, where there's all these different guitar players.
Well, I think to piggyback on your point about like it's all about the being expressive with the modern music and so on. When I went to we were all there. We went to the GFA in Oberlin, and back in 2006, and
Sure.
They had I think it was David Tenenbaum and Antigone Goni play the Mere Woods by Takamitsu. And I was a freshman at the time, I think you were as well, Tim. So I'm sitting there and I listen to Tenenbaum play, and I just don't get it. It's like I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand, whichever. And then Antigone Goni played the same piece the next day, like the next afternoon concert. And I'm like, oh great, here comes this piece again. Well, I want to hear other stuff, but she nailed it expressively. It was like, oh, all right, I get it now. I can get it. It's all a matter of really being able to convince the audience of what's going on in that.
And you also had a second listening, too.
Yeah, exactly. That was the other thing. It's like I kind of knew what to expect, but not to the degree. It's like I didn't walk out of there humming Mere Woods in my head. Or anything like that the first listen.
So my dance company performed at that same festival.
Yeah.
So, and here I am playing this this crazy music. So I wrote one big piece for all solo electric guitar. I use a wireless electric guitar, and I'm being attacked by these four scantily clad women in leather, chasing me down, attacking me, and so I'm fighting them off with my guitar riffs and stuff. But this is wild, crazy piece, And so I'm wondering, this is a classical guitar festival.
Yeah.
But actually, I got some of my amazing reviews in Soundboard magazine, the Guitar magazine, there, for that very concert. So, you worry about things, but in the end, you just gotta go for it, And then all kinds of thoughts are gonna go into your head, but you just gotta let them out as easily as they can, and just make it happen.
Yeah, and this was the same one that had Dominic Frasca there doing his thing.
Yeah.
So it was there was definitely some avant-garde music at that. That
Dominic was doing a lot of minimalist music as well, like you were.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then just I always say like the arrogant college freshman that I was like, oh, this is easy. He's just using his thumb to do the percussive thing. It's not that big of a deal. And then when I actually got an education, I was like, holy crap! Never mind. Stuff he's doing is way next level.
Sorry, was he one of your students at one point? Didn't he go to Akron?
Yeah, he went to Akron, but he was not one of my students. Okay. He was there before I was there.
Okay.
Yeah. He must have left. I don't know. We missed each other somehow. We got to know each other much later. Actually, at that festival, we got to, we hung out and talked.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah, that was a good festival. That was fun. First, I think that's the only GFA that I went to. I planned on going to other ones, but I just never made it. Type of thing.
That was the final performance of my dance company. The last time we performed. We didn't know it then, but
there's always tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow. Yeah.
So you got to meet Segovia. Is there any other big name classical people that we've already talked about a few because they were at the GFA or other places, but are there some other people you've got to meet over the time there, or you'd like to meet still?
I worked with Ben Verdery, with my ensemble coach actually, Sharon Isbin, Manuel Barreco. I've had lessons with all these people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. But some of the people, I remember one time I was at Manhattan School of Music, and I was, a student, and I would watch the job boards. Sometimes they had the board with little notes that would say that you could get some part-time work doing something,
Yeah.
And so one was setting up chairs for a concert of the New York Phil in a church, and I think it was St. John the Divine, downtown Manhattan, which is actually not far from my house. And, so, so me and a bunch of other musicians were just setting up chairs, and some woman came in and got our attention. Okay, and then she pointed to me and said, "You follow me." So I walked back, just stay with the maestro until it's time to go up to the conduct, when it's time, and then get him whatever he may need and stuff. So, okay, so in walked Leonard Bernstein.
That's amazing.
Just
Holy
me,
I thought that's where you were going with it, yeah.
just
cool.
me and Leonard Bernstein. I was just like, wow, this is like amazing,
Now, was he
So-
quietly? So that he's such
He's very
a
quiet.
personality,
Mostly in his
right?
thoughts, but-
Yeah, like he's a huge personality. So yeah, was
Huge
he real
personality.
quiet as he was preparing? Like, was he just in the focus mode?
He was more like mentally preparing and
Yeah.
stuff. But we did a little chat, because it's really just the two of us, just hanging,
Yeah.
So he asked me what I was doing. I told him I was a classical guitar student at Manhattan School of Music.
He's like, that's not a real instrument, and then
Right. No, he was very nice. He was very sweet and stuff. And
that's cool.
so it was nice. That's the first time I realized his friends call him Lenny, because sometimes, every once in a while, someone would come in and say Lenny, and they'd hug and stuff.
That's neat.
But these weird moments like that, when things just serendipity, you just happen to meet people. I remember another time I was working with George Crumb, we did a New York performance of Songs, Drones, and Refrains of Death for electric guitar and another group of instruments. And that was just amazing, really just getting to work on his music,
Yeah.
coaching us on there. But there's some of the artists, I got to meet that I don't know around. John Cage, Philip Glass. I can't think right now.
Yeah.
But these are times that just think this happened, and then you just do the project and you move on. But that stays with you.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Are you still at Akron? Are you still bringing in guest artists for like a week or whatever too? Does that?
Yeah,
That seemed like that was
yeah.
goes on every year, right? So
Oh yeah, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year.
yeah,
Um,
that's awesome
it-
too. What
yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, to bring in artists, often they stay with me here. They stay at my house.
yeah.
And then, they'll play a concert, and then, really importantly, to give a master class.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And then they jam
all
with
my
you at your
students-
house, right?
they jam with me at my house,
Yeah.
or sometimes I just let them chill out.
Yeah.
And they kind of appreciate that too. I don't know if you've ever, when you're on the road, I've been there too. When you're like on the road, and sometimes you just want to chill out. You don't want to like always be on. you know?
Sure.
So just last year, I think, which one did I had? A really great. I don't know. I've had so many, but I will keep it going.
Mahler, right? Johannes Mahler.
Huh?
That's pretty recent.
Yeah, Johannes Muller.
I
He was
really
fantastic.
I really wanted to, but I was teaching that same day, so it was literally. I couldn't make it back to Akron from Kenyon in time to I would have been walking in as the doors were shutting for his last
Yeah.
song. So
This was his last concert in the U.S. before he got back to Europe, and the place was packed.
That's awesome.
Full house, and he just ripped. He just tore it up, and people went bananas over it. And then he gave this fantastic class, to really long math class that really got into every student of mine.
Mhm.
So that's been nice.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, just
so
to get the
I'll
different
keep that-
personalities and everyone who's
They're
different
so different.
backgrounds and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes, you get the box specialist and stuff, but, just prepare the students. So, it's more if I can get people to, hear these different personalities, then they're more prone to develop their own personality.
Sure.
You want to create something, you just let it develop,
Now, do you do many of those? Do you have friends? Do you go do a week at some other
Sure.
college somewhere?
Not a week, so much, but you'll go on tour for a couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
one day, usually I show up someplace at a college. Usually it's in the U.S. it's almost always a college.
Yeah.
You go to college, a School of Music, You play a concert, and then I give a master class, and their class usually about 3 to 4 players, and sometimes the class is earlier that day of the concert, depending on the schedule and stuff. So give the concert. I kind of like to play the concert first, It's like to just play first and then talk, But it's fun to, the next day morning, get up and then go meet all the students, and they play for you and stuff like that.
Sure.
I've done a number of them. The master classes are great. You can really put all your philosophies into a little nutshell and stuff.
Right.
But it's the week-to-week things that are hard,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and fresh eyes and fresh,
Right.
ideas and whatever. Man, it's neat.
Right. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So when is the date of your concert? The upcoming.
The one's coming up is let me look it up. June. It's Saturday. Double check. Saturday, June 12th, from 6 to 7. That's North Side Green. It's free and open to the public.
Nice. Is that a Saturday, you said?
It's a Saturday. Saturday, 6 to 7. Hopefully the weather's nice. I don't know what the seating and
might be
stuff
snowing or something. Yeah.
Could be snowing. Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Dude, I got it in my phone, so if
Okay.
some guy being like, play some Dowland,
That's right.
instead of play some Skinner, just play Dowland.
Right. Yeah.
Here's some
That
Mary.
guy.
You got me thinking now. I'm going to have to pull that out. Yeah.
Well, he wants another arrangement of another Dowland piece into a blues.
Right.
So
Yeah.
got to get to work.
Well, that's, Steve Aaron had said that. He asked me a bunch of times. Said, Jim, you got to make a series of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it. I looked at a couple of different ones and stuff, but it just never happened for one reason or another. Who knows, But but yeah, my complaints. It's the one that I still have. So I'll work that out.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. So if you were now that we're coming down to a close, at least I'm sensing a close of everything. That and it's my pumpkin time when everything turns back. I got to type of thing. If you were going to give a new student one piece of advice, what would it be?
It would be to manage your time. I've mentioned that a little bit of that earlier, but it's really the penultimate thing. You have to set aside time. It's easy just to say practice, but I mean practice thoughtfully and mindfully practicing. For me, it's the morning. I often, if I'm really working, I'll get up at 5 a.m. and practice for 2 to 3 hours before I do anything else. That way I have that in me and I get stuff done. Other people like late at night.
Yeah.
To me, I can't depend on that because weird things happen sometimes, So, but the morning I will make myself, I just wake up, get up in the morning, make some coffee, and I'll just sit down and start practicing. But not just playing anything, but being organized. So time management, figure out how you can accomplish your goals.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the one thing.
Cool. Well, that's perfect. It's a
Heard
good
from the maestro.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Once again, everybody, Mr. James Marron, the classical guitarist extraordinaire, has graced us with his presence for this episode of Wood, Air, and Mammal, or maybe multiple episodes, depending on how it's edited. Thanks.
It's been great to hook up with you guys again.
Yeah, it's been too long. Hopefully we'll get the hang or something sometime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love it. Sounds
Awesome.
great. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on here.
Okay.
We'll see you.
Take care, guys. I'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.